Big update this week with news coming in from all around the resort. We've got more recon on the future home of the Coco Dark Ride coming to DCA. Jungle Cruise is closing for a few weeks while the bridge to Galaxy's Edge is reopening soon, which is great news. But let's start in the Esplanade where Halloween has started to appear. And by that I mean Oogie Boogie. There he is, right there, front and center at the entrance of California Adventure. That's always like the first thing that appears in the Halloween season is Oogie Boogie. He's always first for some reason. But at the same time, we've got these new banners up on the light poles out here, which are representative of some of the scarier, I guess, parts of Disneyland and DCA. Facing Disneyland, you get the Disneyland banners. Hatbox Ghost. There's the Yeti. Pirates. I love these bats over the rivers of America. That's a cool looking scene. Turn around, and there are the DCA icons of the Halloween season, which, again, they look pretty spooky, but they're throwing bats all over the place. I love bats. DCA loves their Halloween bats. Yeah, Halloween is appearing in the parks. We're going to see a little bit more of that here in a minute, but let's just check in real quick on the walls out here in the Esplanade. These are the walls, the construction walls that popped up. They're doing some demo on the concrete there, some below grade work, electrical. Still waiting for, to observe anything there. We were not able to, once more, see what's happening over those walls because now the monorail is closed permanently. Well, not permanently. It's closed for a little while, at least. It's been closed since the 12th, and there's no reported reopening date, but it's going to be a few weeks at least. So we'll head into the park. And there's got Floral Mickey out here in front of the Disneyland Railroad, which, as a reminder, is also closed. We'll have news on that in a little bit. These walls are, I still don't know what these walls are for. This is now 3 weeks running that those walls have been up at the main entrance to Disneyland. No idea. I love this. We're going to get, or we will have had a week of clean Disneyland, clean Town Square and Main Street, although they are starting to put up decorations already on Main Street. But we're going to have this view for about a week, maybe less. But it was nice to see a nice unobstructed view of Main Street here from the top of Town Square. This made me so happy when I got here this morning that I just wanted to stand around and soak it in for a little while because it's just not often, especially this is it. By this time next week, the pumpkin will be there and it'll be the last time that we'll see, or it'll have been the last time that we'll see an unobstructed view of Main Street until January. So it's begun. The holiday season has begun. We'll walk down Main Street a little bit to check in on this is the storefront for Starbucks. There's Book. Book appears every Halloween season. These are also some of the first things you see when it comes to decorations. And we're about a week early. This was recorded on Friday the 16th. You're watching this on the 19th. And Halloween season will start on the 23rd. There's Book again, Poison Apple, spooky candles, etc. I just love this. I love Halloween decorations on Main Street, including this pumpkin kettle that is outside of the market house. Our last look at Main Street facing Town Square and the Disneyland Railroad. Again, by this time next week, wall-to-wall Halloween decorations and a Mickey pumpkin. Speaking of Halloween decorations, they're actually ahead of schedule from last year. The Halloween tree has already been decked out, which is early. The Halloween tree traditionally is one of the last things that they do for the Halloween season. As a matter of fact, if I recall, last year, it didn't show up until after the season had started, but I could be wrong. But I remember it being much later, one of the last things they did. But this year, it's already up a week early. It's probably my favorite Halloween tradition is this Halloween tree. It looks magnificent at night. I can't wait to catch this at night. I don't know if they're lighting this yet. Probably not. They probably won't light it until August 23rd. There are decorations also obviously happening at DCA. We just saw Oogie Boogie out there. There's the bats in the belfry at Carthay Circle. Bunting all up and down Buena Vista Street. More bats as well, of course. Cars Land is getting into the action as well. It's not done. I'd say they're about a third done. They've got the spiderweb chains up there at Flo's V8 Cafe as well as the spider car. And then the zombie car wrapped around this tree is back. He won't be functional, operational until August 23rd, but the carcass there, the zombie carcass has been installed. And then you got the marquee posters up, The Halloween themed marquee posters here. Still waiting for the baby tow truck to get dressed as a mummy. And then they have decorated at least part of Sarge's surplus hut for Halloween. So I would say we're about a third of the way here. Oh, and then also, obviously, they've decorated the entrance with the garland and the car in its Halloween costume, which is a yearly tradition. Got a head start here for the Halloween season at the Disneyland Resort. Very exciting. Can't wait. While we're here, actually, at DCA, let me update you on a few things that I found that I wasn't able to report on last week. There's walls up here at the Cozy Cones. Unrelated to Oogie Boogie Bash, as far as I know, but these walls are all around. They circle all the way around. They do decorate that, you know, the whole Psycho House and everything in there. But I don't remember them ever putting up walls to do that. So there's something else being done here, I believe. This is something that we also noticed on our State of DCA report. There's walls up along that path to the left of Luigi's Rollicking Roadsters. This fence runs all the way across the length of this path, all the way to Avengers Campus. Now, there's not a lot going on there. There wasn't anything going on there before. There was just that sign, you know, advertising Stark Automotive, and it was just a sort of a long planter. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing here, and I don't think it's related to any of the D23 type announcements. It's too early for that to be happening anyway. So this is some other project. But one thing that I noticed was I couldn't really get a good. The gaps weren't very wide for the lens to see through. But they have dug it up. That used to be landscaped. They have, and there you can see there's a digger right there too. They have dug that whole area up. So for what purpose? Who can say? It's kind of interesting. It's kind of fascinating. This is one of those mysteries that I really enjoy when I do these construction reports. What is the need to dig up that planter that runs across the length of Luigi's Rollicking Roadsters? What could they possibly be doing? Because it's not hardly any kind of show. We'll check in on that. I'm going to peek through with my eyeballs in future reports. I don't think I'll be able to get the camera in there, but I am very curious to know what's happening there. Let's go back to Disneyland. Let's get on the Jungle Cruise. You may have heard the news that the Jungle Cruise is closing. It'll close on September 16th. There's no date on the calendar yet, on the refurb calendar for Disneyland, but word is, according to Scott Gustin, it'll be down for 3 weeks. We're assuming it's to work on the tiger scene. You guys know, just, what was it, last week? The week before? I don't remember, where I was like, hey, remember this tiger scene? Remember how it, I gave up on it. I gave up on them fixing. I thought, okay, so this must be, they haven't done anything for this scene in forever. It's been months and months and months, and they haven't done anything. So I'm just going to give up and say, this is the final product. This is it. This is what we're getting. But almost like the day after I posted that video, a permit pops up, and lo and behold, they are going to, they've moved the permit forward, and they are going to start working on this, and it's going to start on September 16th. The assumption is they're going to refurbish that scene with the tiger. My understanding, you'll notice if you look at the walls that are there now, the construction walls that exist now, it's just the walls. There's nothing, you can't see anything behind the walls. But there did used to be a very elaborate temple, or a sort of arch, a threshold that the tiger was perched under. That's gone. And I assume that's the reason why they had to take the scene down to begin with. There's probably some structural integrity issues, perhaps. Hard to say. But I assume that they had to rebuild that temple for whatever reason, because it's not there now. But let's hope that they're bringing that back. Along the way, during this 3-week process, there's going to be a variety of other updates, things that need to be taken care of while they're closed. They're going to be refreshing some of the other show scenes just to sort of give them a little bit of TLC, which, as much as we complain about the condition of Disney, it is good to see that they are doing things that we're not aware of. And I wish we could be more aware of them, so that I could tell you, hey, they're closing the Jungle Cruise. Well, I am telling you, I guess, because they want to give a little TSC to some of these show elements. Why they leave some to be, left to rot a little bit is another question, which we're going to get into in a little bit as well. But there's going to be show scenes updated, paint and polish, a deep clean, making everything a little bit more efficient. A little bit, for example, I'm hoping maybe that they do something about the piranhas. The piranhas haven't worked properly for quite a while. I don't think, though, that we're going to be seeing any updates to the scene that I mentioned in a previous video, that Indiana Jones archaeological dig scene, too soon for them to do anything there. They, because a lot of those props have to be rebuilt or refabricated, and it's probably, so we might see that in a future update, but I don't expect to find anything there on this repair. But I am hoping that the scene with the lion does, or I'm sorry, the tiger, that does return to its normal condition when this attraction reopens. Hoping that'll be within the next 3 weeks. That is what we're hearing. Next door, I wanted to go up to the Adventureland Treehouse just to see if any changes in the views of the Haunted Mansion queue and Tianas, etc. But as soon as I walked in, I noticed a change in what I was hearing. And I was wondering, I could hear sort of the bubbling sound coming from the stove, and I thought, did they add that sound? Because I could never hear it. It was never very prominent before. And while I'm sitting there listening, I'm also thinking, oh my gosh, I can't hear that annoying whistling sound. The sound that would be fine if it happened like once every minute or so, but it whistles every 10 seconds, and you can hear it the entire time you're in the tree. Kept going up the tree. The situation got a little bit more serious. No audio coming from the organ, which was kind of disconcerting because you could see the keys moving, but there's no sound coming from the organ. None of those celestial sounds that you hear from the daughter's room. There should be some sound here as well, but it was almost completely silent. And even more weird is the lack of sound coming from the boys' rooms with the monkey and everything and the birds. Oh, and by the way, the Swiss Kapolka. Didn't hear any of that either. So very disconcerting to not have that sound. I'm hoping that they, obviously, there's an issue with the sounds. That thing isn't working either. The monkey thing isn't working as well as it should. Very disconcerting. I wouldn't mind if they forgot to install the whistling sound when they turned back on all the other audio elements. I'm curious why, what happened there, why the sound was off on this visit. We'll go back again, obviously, in a week and see how that shapes up. But for now, we'll just take a quick peek. Nothing happening at Tiana except for we got a blue hat, a white hat, and I think, well, I want to say that's a brown hat, but it looks kind of like a black hat. Anyway, it's 3 different types of engineers up there talking about something going on with Tianas. We mentioned last week we have a date, November 15th. Hopefully they can make it on time for that. Let's get back on the ground. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Let's take a peek over the wall at the queue space in the area. This is the space between Tiana's Palace and the Haunted Mansion Extended Queue. That wall, they have added some brick veneers. You can see some of those brick veneers, and you can also see through that tree some wrought iron work has been added there, but there's brick veneers, and that's the wall that separates Tiana's Palace and its outdoor tables from the Haunted Mansion queue. Let's take a quick peek at what's happening at the New Orleans Square train station, the depot. This has been, well, it's closed because the train is closed, but also because we think that they're going to be doing some construction here for that building that burned, that caught fire a long time ago. We're waiting for anything to happen there, but I thought they would start working on this building while the train is closed, but it doesn't look like they're doing, well, there's nothing, we can't see them doing anything from here. I thought maybe they might demo it. That isn't the case, it looks like, but they could be rehabbing it from the inside out, but nothing visible, suffice it to say. We'll take a peek over the wall into that same queue space that we were talking about before, where we saw the the brick wall there with the brick veneers, and there you go. There's the, you can see the cinder blocks with the stone veneers, the red brick veneers, and that all everything in your frame right there is that common area between Tiana's and the Haunted Mansion. So that wall that's separating the two is starting to get some definition, which is kind of exciting. That's really, really quite exciting. On this one, we're trying to see if there's anything on the ground. The fact that that ground is very smooth and even and not dug, there's no holes, no nothing, suggests that they're ready for concrete there. Look for them to put some concrete down there, or maybe they already have. Quick look at Tiana's from the Haunted Mansion, just to observe that you can see the gray poles there. Those gray poles are creating, that's the perimeter, that's the definition of the new gift shop. That's the gift shop, the beginnings of it, that's the frame. So it does appear that they are building this from scratch, and we'll see how that's looking from the Mark Twain here as we climb aboard. There again is the common area between Tiana's and the Haunted Mansion. Not seeing a lot to recognize or see here from this angle, but if we peek through, okay, yeah, right through those trees, as the ropes from the Columbia pass by our vision here, you can see there again, there's that wrought iron section in between those two brick pillars, red brick pillars. Now that doesn't exactly jive with the concept art, but I would imagine what we're looking at there is this rear wall. There's fencing. That's not quite a fence. I guess it is a fence, but you see those two, it almost looks like an entrance, like it could be an entrance. So I'm not sure, they have changed up how they're going to design this in some capacity, which, I mean, it doesn't really matter what they do here. I'm sure it's all going to be wonderful. But yeah, look for more definition there, and look for them to apply some sort of stucco-like surface or veneer to that remaining cinder block wall there. They're going to finish this well before they're done with that rear queue, based on what we saw last week over the wall. Moving on, let's take another look at the construction of that gift shop. There again is that scene. What you're looking for are the gray poles there that are bracketing that tree on the left and the right of that tree in the left third of your frame. Those are those same gray steel poles that are forming the perimeter of the gift shop. Those 2x4s are not the gift shop, but there was a lot of activity happening over that wall, both while I'm looking at it here and then while I was on Tom Sawyer Island later on. There was the heavy sound of jackhammering going on back there, so they are hard at work preparing this scene. By the way, they're hard at work preparing this scene for that path to open up, which we'll get to in a second. That path that connects New Orleans Square with Critter Country, Bear Country, and Galaxy's Edge. But we'll stay here on the Mark Twain first. Look, oh, look. There you can see, okay, real quick, this doesn't last long. There's brick wall back there. You can see that, the veneers, and it's gone. So that was the best view that we've seen of that part of the queue, the Tiana's Palace dining area that we've seen, in a while. So that was exciting. There, okay, so now we're definitely seeing some definition. There's the entrance to the Haunted Mansion. To its left, you can see that behind the green wall, the cinder block wall is extending to the left, parallel with the green wall. Then it cuts in towards the back side of that area, and then you can see another wall in the rear. So there's your perimeter of the new queue space. Reconcile that with what we're seeing in the concept art, and you can see that's where the new guests are gonna go. That's the new queue right there. That is cool. I mean, whether or not you like it, whether or not it's gonna look good is another conversation, but it's cool that we can watch this new space grow before our eyes. I love this, in terms of when we do these construction updates. I love being able to watch a thing evolve and grow and become something. That's always my favorite part, and watching it become something is really, really cool. I don't know what I'm looking at here other than the queue, which was very busy again on this day. The Haunted Mansion is doing business. Okay, here we go. There's the new queue, the new gift shop, and you can see those gray steel poles there is again for the beginnings of that structure. So that they're probably going to finish that, and they're going to finish the Tiana's dining area first. The rear queue that we can't ever see, we showed you those over the wall pics last week. I had somebody who did reach out to me to explain what we should expect. 6 months was his guess. Now we're hoping it's not the case, but he said they're not close to finishing. They're not close to finishing. could be 6 months, which if it's August now, you're looking at February. I hope that's not the case. We'll stay on the Mark Twain, check in on Tiana's Bayou adventure. Not a lot to see. That they're pretty much done on the exteriors. Anything that's still being done is happening below the fence lines. But anything that you can see from the Mark Twain is pretty much finished. There's a few areas that still have scaffolding. You can see right there in the lower left corner as I drift the camera up. There's some scaffolding over that little edge right there. Probably some finishing touches on the foliage that they're adding to the mountain surface. There's the lift hill. I guess that's the fine. Man, you know what? I'm bummed. We can't see what's happening to the actual entrance area. Remember we were seeing that they were painting it yellow and green, and we're not going to be able to see any of that until it's done now. But this is as good a look as we're going to get. That's just not. They're almost done there. And as we drift left and the camera starts pointing left, that's actually, now you're facing the gift shop again for the Haunted Mansion. So let's see what's happening from or at Critter Country. I see a lot of concrete coming into frame there. If I could get my camera straight. I think I was trying to film with both my regular camera and the phone, which is why I'm not finding center here. Well done, sir. But there's a lot of new concrete there. You see where that orange safety cone is? That's new concrete that it's on top of. That's all new concrete. No new developments with those brown poles. Obviously, you know, we noted last week that there are light fixtures attached to those now, but you know, beyond that, we're not sure. We're not confident, not positive what else that could be. A lot of hard hats though on this scene. They are in a hurry to finish this. Got to get everything done by November 15th. All these components are going to open at the same time, I believe. You might see Critter Country open a little bit earlier than Splash. Let's pan left real quick just to see what's happening. There's that path. That path is going to be open, you guys. They're going to open this path next Monday. That's finished product right there. Next Monday. By the time you see this, not next Monday, this Monday, by the time you see this, that path will be open. We'll get to that again in a second. But there is a chance that Critter Country, if they can finish it before, that might open in advance of November 15th. I doubt it, though. I'm expecting Winnie the Pooh, Hungry Bear, Tianas, and everything else to be all open at the same time. That's the plan anyway, November 15th. We can no longer see what exactly they're doing on the ground. There's too much going on down there for us to define anything. Plus, they've got those barriers set up to block our vision of something. I don't know what it is that they don't want us to see, but they don't want us to see something down there. So yeah, let's talk about that path. This path is going to be open. It's been closed for a little while, creating a dead end here at Haunted Mansion. They're going to open this path up on Monday, and guests will again be able to walk by the Hungry Bear. It looks like they're restoring the Hungry. I saw guys putting down chairs and stuff already. So that part of the Hungry Bear update is done, perhaps. And then that'll open up. You'll be able to go through, well, past Tiana's Bayou adventure, but we won't be able to see anything, I don't think. But we'll certainly try. And you'll be able to go to Galaxy's Edge, which is great because dead ends suck. Before we wrap that up, let's go back to Haunted Mansion real quick to show you that what I believe is going to happen is that it's just going to be the part of this path to the right of that tree. That's the part of the path that's going to happen or going to open. They're going to open it up just to the right of that tree, and there'll be a small little pathway you can take there. They're not going to open it up all the way to around the tree like it used to, simply because I think they're still working on that area. But that's why we're hearing so much jackhammering over there, I believe, because they're trying to get that thing ready by Monday. And I would also expect, by the way, the secret path to be reopening as well. They haven't actually been working on the secret path. They've just closed it because they don't want any guests going that direction, obviously, because the whole thing is closed over there. So I would hope that if they're opening up the main path, that they'll open this up as well. And you can see that they haven't done anything to the path. The path looks great. It looks fine. Looks the way it should. By the way, you'll notice there was no water in the flume down there. When I was there, there hardly ever is. I very, very rarely ever see water. However, Enzo Trigger on Twitter sees water all the time when he's going at night while I'm going in the day. Enzo posted this on Twitter. He gets good stuff all the time, man. But on this occasion, Enzo actually got not only water, but guests in a in a log. That's amazing. They're running guests, cast members, I assume, through the attraction. They're testing it. That's an incredible status update. We are still looking at November 15th, but that's a very, very good sign that at least they're doing well enough that they can start doing that. So very grateful to see that bit of update. Enzo also captured this at night. They're testing the lighting package at the top of the drop, which is really cool because I have yet to see this. And so the lighting effects are up there. I would imagine so too are the bottles, the bottles that everybody's been dying to see for whatever reason. So that's pretty exciting. We've got guests in logs and we've got lights at the top of the drop at Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That is exciting. Less exciting is the fact that Space Mountain is still closed. Just dropped in to see if there was anything else to capture here on this day. Still expect this to reopen on September 5th. Now, last week there were walls up both here at the entrance and at the exit, but when we arrived on this day, the exit was wall-less, which is interesting. I don't know what they didn't want us to see before that they don't mind us seeing now, but this whole stretch is wide open. It's kind of weird being able to walk through here with no guests because this is a hectic scene almost always. Once the park opens, immediately it becomes one of the most hectic scenes in the entire park. So seeing it void of guests is kind of interesting. We'll stop in Fantasyland to show you that there's been no update on the walls over here. There's the right half of the path is still being refurbished, getting what I assume is to be the same kind of blacktop that is on the left half that they finished last week. They've added some Disneyland Railroad posters. That one of the poster that you see when you walk through the tunnels. Here's one for Primeval World, and they are referencing the artist who commissioned these, Claude Coates, inspired by Claude Coates, which is amazing. And then over here at the Fantasyland Theater, they've got some retro art there and some old images of Walt with his trains. You know, Walt loved trains. The old map and the 5 trains that make up the Disneyland Railroad train system. I had no idea that they looked this different. They all just look the same to me. I don't have a discerning eye, but that's quite a disparity. You know, they all have their own unique sort of look and personality. And these are the 5: the Holiday, Ripley, Gurley, Ernest Marsh, and the Ward Kimball. So I'm sure if you want to, you can engage the cast members that are out there. As a matter of fact, the cast members that were out there did advise that right now they're refurbing the track from the tunnel that takes you to Toontown, from the tunnel connecting Frontierland to Toontown, to the tunnel that connects Tomorrowland to Fantasyland, to the Main Street. So from the Toontown tunnel to the dinosaur diorama in Tomorrowland. And, by the way, we're expecting this to be down for until about October. He said that it's going to be a couple of months, and the initial guess, the initial estimate is that you might see ride testing by early October, which is earlier than I thought it would be. I was expecting 3 months, but if they can do ride testing by October, that could be as little as 2 months. No change in the status of the Fantasyland Theater. Is still in that same condition, kind of sort of striking the set, but not really. They haven't done anything since last week. It's kind of disappointing. Small World will be closing also on September 16th. Not to be alarmed. The expectation is that is for getting ready for the Christmas season, for the holiday season. It takes a little while. So those are the ongoing projects going around the park. Let's show you some stuff that I wish were ongoing. We're going to hop on a raft to Tom Sawyer Island to get the latest on what's happening or what's not happening. That front part of the island is still closed. No guests permitted. This is not because they're doing anything out here. There's no construction happening out there. They're just choosing not to make this available to us. They don't want to put in any kind of money, any kind of budget to having a cast member out there. There was I saw one cast member on this island today when I was there. I was there for a good hour and a half maybe. I saw one cast member the entire time. That's what this is. They don't want to put any sort of budget into maintaining this island, be that with actual repairs or with cast to just be there to help guests out. So no, you cannot go out there to the front of the island because that would require a cast member in the neighborhood. Dead Man's Grotto is still closed, and that's because they don't want to put any money into maintaining all the little features. That there are some cool features in there that do require periodic updates. So they don't want to update that. They don't want to show you a half, or not even a half functioning cave grotto. Still no water on the island. This is supposed to be a stream. That's supposed to be a stream that runs water that feeds down to the bottom into this area here where the boats is. See how stagnant that water is? That's because there's no water coming in from that stream from up at the treehouse. And you know something is bad, in bad shape, when they do go ahead and create fully themed signs that tell you that the things aren't working. These signs have existed forever, but I'm troubled by the fact that it's not a temporary sign. That looks very permanent. You're supposed to be able to turn this wheel right here, and the skeleton guy comes up and he's holding some treasure, and then you let go and he sinks down. But the treasure lift is not working today. That's not working today either. The bilge pump, sorry, also not working. Gross. That's just really, really gross. Breaks my heart what they're doing to this island, man. Breaks my heart. Love this place. And it looks like that. It looks like a swamp. While we're on the subject, let's stop real quick into the Golden Horseshoe. Say hi to a family getting a whole mess of churros. And still no entertainment happening here at the Golden Horseshoe. One of these days, we're going to walk in here and there's going to be get at least a piano. Can we at least get the piano guy back? One of these days, there's going to be something on that stage. I'll keep waiting. And then lastly, we're going to make a quick stop at Pixar Pal Around, because I want to see if we can see anything. There's two projects happening now that we're going to see from the Pal Around. The Coco Dark Ride and the Avengers E-Ticket. Now, I blew my shot at getting footage of the Avengers E-Ticket. I couldn't get the camera right. I couldn't get the focus right. So we have nothing. There was nothing to see anyway. Nothing was happening. There's also nothing happening here at the Coco, what I believe is going to be the site, the destination for the Coco Dark Ride. I believe it's going to be where that really long gray building is and the other two behind it, that whole section back there. It doesn't look like a lot from this angle. It looks like, gosh, can they actually fit a fully functioning dark ride back there? I was curious myself, so I did take some photos. I went to Google Earth and I just wanted to make sure. So I measured the space back there. If I try to use the maximum amount of space, I'm figuring that one long rectangular building and then the two smaller rectangular buildings behind it, creating sort of a triangular space. That whole area comes out to 2.61 acres. I mean, it doesn't look like it from the Pixar Pal Around, but sure enough, that measured out at 2.61 acres. Compare that to perhaps the biggest dark ride in the entire Disneyland Resort. I mean, like a traditional dark ride. You could call Raider Springs Racers, Rise of the Resistance, whatever. Those are e-ticket dark rides. Traditional dark rides, Little Mermaid is still one. 0.8 acres. So that's roughly a third of the size of the space that's available behind the Incredicoaster tracks there. Now, I'm not saying they're going to use all 2.6 acres of that space, but certainly you could drop something the size of the Little Mermaid in that space back there with room to spare. So that's very, very encouraging. That's my prediction. The Coco Dark Ride, the boat ride, is going behind the Incredicoaster tracks. I thought we were done, but we've got a couple more things I want to talk about. We've got some permits. There's a permit that's been updated for the turnstiles. There's electrical to support the turnstile that was reissued on August 13th. I don't know what specifically that's for, but it does sound like things are moving forward at least. If they're doing that, then things are moving forward. I don't know how that relates with what we're seeing them doing behind those construction walls and digging up that space, because that is electrical, but I don't know if that's related specifically to the turnstiles, although I assume it must be. We've also got this permit for the Jolly Holiday. This is something we're going to be looking for. A permit was filed for a tenant improvement, 530 square feet, to create, one, a new pass-through, and then two, to widen an existing pass-through, remove and replace food display cases, and relocate utilities to support new equipment. Is that a final move? I'm assuming they're talking about the food display cases that we all can see, where they keep, the grilled cheese sandwiches and the Matterhorn macarons, like those cases, I assume, although there could be stuff behind the counter. But we'll keep an eye on that. We'll pop in there from time to time and see. I don't even know if they may not even have to close the Jolly Holiday to do this, but that's interesting permit to observe just the same. And that, Fresh Baked, is our update this week, our Disneyland Resort construction update. I do hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. Follow us on Instagram at _freshbaked, on Twitter at freshbakedisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at freshbakedisney. You can also join our newsletter, our free newsletter. There's a link in the description for that as well. Join that, get more great updates from Fresh Baked in a new and different way, stuff that we don't talk about necessarily in our construction reports or our reports from the park. So I do hope you guys will follow us there on our newsletter. And then that's it. We love you guys. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And we'll see you next week. The holiday season. Guys, it's right now. It's happening. Well, as you're watching this, it's going to be just a few days away. It's going to be August 23rd will be here Friday for the first day of the Halloween season. 2 days after that, the first night of Oogie Boogie. It's happening. It's actually here. I love you guys. Be safe. Be kind. And Fresh Baked.